Dr. Veronica Esagui is your host for Authors Forum.
Wrote, having the ability and confidence to set a limit and say no prevents the likelihood of being run over and compromised in a relationship. If you can't say no, then you are faced with accepting things that may not be comfortable and may actually be harmful to you. And you go on. I mean, this is an incredible little book. It has so much information, good stuff, good information that can help you. So the other one was, here's one that I thought made me kind of smile, sexuality. Do my attitudes and expectations about sexuality match with theirs?
Right.
Very important question.
Right.
If love is blind, why is lingerie so popular? That's what I was laughing about.
It's a great quote, yeah.
So what would you add to that?
That is a question to ask later in a relationship.
Okay. Later. Okay.
If this is right. Unfortunately, I think we're in a culture that encourages us to be sexually engaged before we've asked some of these preliminary questions. Questions like, do I trust this person? Is this person honest? Very important questions that would tell me whether the relationship is sustainable. So sexuality and whether our sexual preferences match seems to be a later question to ask after I've really assessed somebody's health and the health of a potential relationship with them. But once I've established that this person's a healthy person and matches my values and matches my needs and preferences, then that really is important as I explore sexuality, to have conversations with this person about their sexual preferences or expectations. That's a hard thing to talk about.
It is.
But the question sort of encourages you to be brave and courageous and bring some of those conversations up so that you are not surprised by their choices or preferences after you're already deeply involved.
Yeah, things to know before you say go. I find that it's kind of like a heart opener. It teaches you to open your heart and to be open about your expectations, correct? Right. And to accept or not to accept, that's up to you. Right.
I think what's helpful is to sort the cards and realize that there are going to be some negative cards or ways in which the person I'm evaluating is not going to pass my test, and that's part of any relationship, and that I choose to go forward in the relationship knowing that, without the desire to change the person and make them the way I want them to be. I want to see them for who they are. The way I like talking about it with my clients is to find somebody that you like the way they're walking through life, and choose somebody who's walking through life in a way that you appreciate, rather than somebody who is sort of okay, but if you could just change them a little bit, they'd be great. That's annoying, both to the person who's trying to change somebody and the person being changed. I should be accepted for who I am. I should find a partner who I can accept for who they are.
There are 75 important topics that you address.
76.
In the book. 76.
You missed one.
And which one is your favorite one? Do you have one that you always bring it out?
You know, it's those two I mentioned before: trust and truth.
Trust and truth.
That if I can't trust this person, why am I going to open my heart to them? That's foolish. So that feels really foundational, that trust needs to be there. And one of the ways we assess trust is whether the person speaks the truth. If they're not a truth teller, then I can't trust them. So those kind of go hand in hand.
And that's sometimes hard to tell, because when you're in the dating process, people tend to put up a front, a little bit of an act.
And you can watch how they put up an act in front of others and realize, oh, they like to put on a little show. Maybe they're doing that with me. So I can observe them if I wait long enough. And that's the deal with these kinds of questions, is to go slow enough. There's a great quote that I love, which is, go only as fast as the slowest part of you is willing to go. To listen to that slow part who's a little hesitant, who's not quite bought in yet, and be respectful of that part and give it the reassurance through evidence that the person you're in a relationship with is safe to move to the next level with.
What is your writing process?
I scribble on paper. I write. I'm not very linear. So that's the cards work really well for me because I can go from one thing to the next. And so I'll put down some ideas, and then I'll go back and add more and explore more. And then I kind of put I'll pull the book together at the very end and think about why is it that these things have come to me as important questions, and then I'll elaborate on the importance of the questions.
How long did it take you to put these work together, and when did you know you were finished?
That's a good question. I think I probably worked on it about 1.5 years from the stage of these mini little cards. Well, maybe it's been 2 years actually from that place to getting it to this stage. And I don't know that it's ever fully finished. It's good enough. And I decided that just like any relationship, it's good enough. It's probably never perfect, but it's good enough to have an impact in the world. And I was ready to launch it and send it out there.
This is very, to me, it's incredibly powerful and of great value. When I got married in 1962, through a prearranged marriage, coming from Lisbon, Portugal, a friend of mine gave me a book. It was called The Bride's Book. And in comparison with The Bride's Book, this is a true bride's book. The one I was given was more like when your husband comes home, just smile, and there's nothing, you were just a woman. Okay, this one, it tells you you can still be a woman or be a man, whatever you choose to be, but you have choices, and it's a very powerful guidance book for anyone that wants to know how to be happy. That's how I looked at that, and it's just it's wonderful. I wish I had had that book before.
It's about being conscious about choices. And that's kind of a radical idea for us women, isn't it?
Yes,
unfortunately. Totally. But I'm glad we're in a day when it's really okay to ask whether I like something rather than just does the man like me.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, we do ask that question a lot. Am I pleasing to them? And again, this material is all about, do they please me?
Yeah, this is more like reality right now, what the world is all about. Right. Who did you use? Because I got to show this to everyone to see. This is the most beautiful work I've ever seen, and it makes such a perfect gift. It even has it have a magnetic something here
latch,
that closes. I hope it's not glaring too much to the camera, but inside you put so much care into it. You wrote things to know before you say go, but how to use the cards, and it's all explained in here by sort by priorities, sort of a current relationship, examine a past relationship, self-examination, and slow explore.
Right. Lots of ways to play with them.
And they got all these cards in here, and it has the book also enclosed into it. This is incredible what you've done.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
So congratulations on that. You know, you hear about small gifts, small boxes are the best ones. They have the best gift inside. This is one of them.
Yes,
I highly recommend these to anyone that wants to have a successful relationship of any kind. So tell me about the activity book.
Okay.
You have right there.
This is a book of 30 activities to play with the cards. So it was made for curriculum for high school students mostly, published by Dibble Institute in California. And they loved the cards and wanted me to create something, a workbook or a curriculum guide for teachers so that the teachers would know how to play with the cards with students. So there's 30 different activities to play using the cards in exploring partnership.
That's incredible. I'd like to open to any page.
Okay.
Ordering the stages of relationship.
Okay. So there are stages that relationships go through, from hanging out, dating, relationship, intimacy, and commitment.
That's
and so students sort of order those and figure out
where are they?
Yeah, what order do these go in? And then what are the questions you ask at the different stages? Because that sexuality question goes towards the end, near the commitment stage, not in the hanging out stage.
Yeah, I went right for the end there. Sorry about that. What was your publishing experience like?
I wanted to publish local, and so I did the first 2 runs. So I printed through a publisher, a printer here in town, 250 decks. they sold out right away, so I printed another 250 decks, and the cost was so high at the printing of these that I eventually decided to take, asked my printer to help me find a printer in China that would print them for much less, and I printed a volume of 2,500, and so I could get a discounted rate, and it was much cheaper, so my profit or my return on the cards now may help me pay for the expense that I put into it. Yeah.
But you have to go for 2,500.
Yes, in order to
2,500 pieces. Where here it's even 250 is sometimes a lot for even for an author with books. Carrying out 250 books is a lot of books.
Yeah.
But I can see why they sold so quickly the very first time you did them. So, what is your next? Do you have a writing adventure coming up next?
Oh, you know, my writing adventure is more about making tools. You know, so what's the next tool I can make?
Yeah, what is your next tool? Okay, what is your next tool?
I also have this really cool therapy tool called distress tolerance cards. And they're cards of things you can do when you're distressed that will help you stay centered instead of going nuts and screaming at the kids or driving crazy or whatever stupid thing you could do. So they're cards in 7 areas of, you know, pay attention to my thoughts, pay attention to my body, things I can do immediately in the moment. Boy, there's 7 different categories. Physical activities that I can do. Anyway, they're cards that are sorted into this works for me, this might work, and this doesn't work.
That's wonderful.
A client sorts them out. I fill out a handout as they're sorting them and give them the handout that marks all the things that work for them for managing distress. And so then they go home and they have a handout of all the things that they know work for them when they're distressed, and they hopefully won't do harmful things to themselves. Yeah. So tools like that are really, they're fun and engaging, and I would like to get those in a much more polished form like I've worked with these.
Where, when you have that ready, where can someone find out about them?
They're at my website.
What is your website?
CourageToBloom.com. And I have them available there. They're just not as polished as I would like them to be. My cards are also available there.
And where can people find things to know before you say go?
At CourageToBloom.com.
Okay.
And they're available at Amazon and at Powell's Books in Portland, New Renaissance Books.
Did you mention something on your mail about iPod?
Oh yes, the cards are also. Yes, I should tell you about that. It's a lovely thing that I've done with these same questions and the material from the book, and made it into an app for the iPhone called The Questions. So if you go to thequestionsapp.com, you'll find the same material here in an app form, and you can sort the cards there and get a bar graph reading of how a person stacks up. That's for the young, hip kids that don't want to carry paper with them, but will carry a phone. That's another way to get these same bits of wisdom and the same self-examination in a different form. Right. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
I love it.
I like that too.
Dr. Elsbeth, I said your name correctly.
You did?
Finally.
Yes.
Dr. Elsbeth Martindale. What advice would you give to the folks out there, to our viewers and our audience? Concerning
go slow in your relationships. Be mindful, be thoughtful, listen to your heart, and ask a lot of questions. Be patient with love. If you're choosing a life partner, they're really hard to get rid of. So choose wisely. Choose wisely and approach it slowly with intention and equipped with some good questions.
Dr. Elsbeth, it's been a pleasure having you at the Authors Forum
today.
Veronica. And until the next time, have a most inspiring week.